So one of the things about creative courage that I talk about is even the obvious stuff is important, right? And actually going through what I believe is obvious, explaining it to myself again, over again, or to other people, sometimes reminds you of things or opens things up. And my assumption sometimes is that people understand why it's called creative courage. You know, it's super obvious to me because I call it creative courage because the main barrier of creativity is fear. And fear of what? Fear of judgment, fear of self-doubt, fear of failure. So there's a lot of fear involved that you have to overcome to be successful creatively. But if you really start to kind of dial it down a little bit, in order to actually start to analyze it a little bit, so let's talk about it. So where does the failure come from, right? Well, I think it's a primal thing. Again, going back to the subconscious and the conscious mind and how they kind of duel each other. All the fear that you feel is in your conscious mind. Your subconscious feels zero fear, none. It has absolutely none, because there's no point. Because its job is to gather and consume and data and then deliver it to you. And it's on you to decide on how you're going to use it. I touched on this on the previous video. So on our end, then we have to evaluate, what we're going to use, what we're going to use from that data, what is going to be worthwhile. And we forecast, again, I mentioned that in the last video, where we kind of assume sometimes what we think is valuable and what we assume we need. But it's fear that causes us to over-examine or over-edit ourselves during that process. A complicated thing to deal with sometimes is our gut, right? Our gut reaction to things. And our gut sometimes guides us a lot on everything that we do. And unfortunately, sometimes your gut is not a good partner when trying to come up with the best idea, because your gut protects you. Your gut's job is to protect you from failure. It's protecting you from taking a chance that you shouldn't take, which is important if it's a life or death thing or if there's danger involved, but maybe not so much if you're trying to explore an idea where the failure of the idea isn't going to kill you. It's actually going to do the opposite. It's going to teach you. We're taught when we're kids in school, it's beaten into us that failure is bad, that failure is something to avoid, right? And I talk to a lot of kids and high school kids, and that's one of the main things I tell them. You've been told your whole life in school that failing and work hard to not fail, always try to succeed, always try to succeed. Failure is bad. But when you leave school, failure is your best friend because it teaches you, it helps you grow. You can't get through life without failing. You have to fail at things because it makes you stronger, right? It teaches you your limitations, which is incredibly good data. And we need good data, right? We need really good data to help us to evaluate where we're going to go. Because along with all of the tokens that you're getting from your subconscious mind, it's also reminding you of all your failures and the lessons that you learned during all those failures so that you can use those to help tool your idea and make it better. And so we require failure to actually be better processors of information and idea makers. So again, that's why I call it creative courage, is because failure is important. And we need to kind of consider that and not be afraid to take a chance. And understand that your gut will warn you if there's a bear in the cave. But, it's with that same energy. Don't go in that cave. It'll say, don't try that idea for a campaign. Or don't use that word in that story. Or don't use that phrase in that story. Or don't share that idea with the group because they'll think you're crazy. And it's good if they think you're crazy. What's wrong with that? It's good. Being crazy is great. So be crazy, be fearless, make mistakes, fail a whole bunch, and enjoy your creative process, grow and flourish from it.